Okay, good morning, everybody. We are going to work today on a story, on a reading of a very well-known story called The Ugly Duckling. It was written by Hans Christian Andersen, and we are going to start by checking at the questions that we will be answering. So, first of all, let's check the questions. Take a look at them. They are also on page 54 and 55 of your books. So, in question number 1, we have the following questions. Please, Kyle, can you read number 1? Kyle, go ahead. Read the questions.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. Hans Christian. La que está ahí, teacher. La que está en el.
Read all of the options.
Yeah. Hans Christian was a member of the Danish royal family, had been through similar experience to the ugly duckling, wasn't bullied for his appearance, or wrote the tale as it is told here.
Okay, continue.
Yeah.
Read it from please.
Okay. The ugly duckling, A, was not at all unlike his brothers and sister. B, came out of his shell much later than the others. C, was rejected by his siblings, but not his mother. D, was insulted from time to time by his family.
Okay. Number 3.
Number 3. The ugly duckling would like A, to put up with the taunts. B, to leave the farmyard. C, to them not to jeer at him. D, not to blend in so much.
Okay, number 4.
He learned he was a swan. A, through seeing his reflection in the water. B, through hearing a child shout out. C, through being greeted by other swans. Or D, through a remark made by one of the swans.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have some vocabulary that we will need to check. So, Emilio, can you please help me reading? We have some verbs, nouns, and adjectives that we are going to review. Emilio, go ahead.
Okay, verbs. To jeer, to make rude and mocking remarks, typically in a loud voice. To hatch, an egg, to open and produce a young animal. To wander, to move or travel slowly through a place. To put up, to endure patiently, to resign. Nouns. Duckling, a young duck. Taunt, a remark made in order to anger, wound, or provoke someone. Swan, a large water bird with a long flexible neck, short legs, webbed feet, a broad bill, and typically all white plumage. Reeds, a tall, slender-leaved plant of the grass family which grows in water or on marshy ground. Adjectives. Gorgeous, beautiful, very attractive. Horrid, something that causes horror, horrible.
Okay, so the adjectives were gorgeous and horrid. You already knew those. Let's check the images. This is a swan. These are the reeds. This is the duckling. And this is to hatch. Okay, so now we are going to go with the reading. Let's start with the reading. You will be answering the questions, so while we listen to the story. First of all, we are going to hear this introduction, and then we will listen to the whole story.
The Ugly Duckling is a fairy tale written in 1843 by the Danish writer Hans Christian Andersen. Andersen himself got bullied as a boy because of his height, his looks, he had a large nose, and his big feet. He is rumoured to have been the illegitimate son of the Crown Prince of Denmark.
Okay.
The Ugly Duckling is a fairy tale written in 1843 by the Danish writer Hans Christian Andersen. Andersen himself got bullied as a boy because of his height, his looks, he had a large nose, and his big feet. He is rumoured to have been the illegitimate son of the Crown Prince of Denmark, which makes the swan metaphor rather interesting, because apart from being Denmark's national bird, the swan also symbolises royalty. The original story went something like this. Once upon a time, a mother duck was sitting on her eggs, waiting for them to hatch. One by one, the eggshells broke open and a cute little duckling popped out. But the very last egg was much larger than the others. It took ages for its shell to break open, and the baby bird which finally emerged was very different from the other little ducklings. Had he been a cute little duckling like the rest of them, things would have been very different, and there would have been no story to tell. But he wasn't a cute little duckling. He was big, grey, and ugly. He certainly wasn't one of them. He stood out from the rest. He didn't fit in one bit. His family just couldn't accept him, and they were all really horrid to him. They constantly jeered at him and called him names. "Ugly duckling, ugly duckling," they would shout again and again. I wish they would stop shouting at me, the poor ugly duckling used to think. If only I looked more like them and wasn't so different. He put up with their taunts week after week, but finally he couldn't stand it any longer, and one day he ran away, out of the farmyard, across the fields and into the woods. As he wandered around the countryside that autumn, all the other animals he met, wild ducks, geese, a cat and a hen, were nasty to him because of the way he looked, and they all taunted him. "Ugly duckling, ugly duckling!" And then, as if he didn't have enough problems to deal with, winter suddenly arrived. It got colder and colder. The land began to freeze, and there was little food to be found. The poor lonely duckling went through months of cold, hunger and misery. He even began to wish sometimes that he was back at the farmyard. But eventually spring arrived. One morning, the ugly duckling was woken by glorious sunshine as he lay amongst some reeds by a lake. He looked across the water and saw 3 beautiful large white birds gliding by. "Wow," he said to himself quietly. "I wish I was that beautiful. They're gorgeous." The ugly duckling had spoken louder than he'd intended, and one of the swans looked over at him. "You're quite gorgeous yourself," said the swan. "In fact, I don't think I've ever seen a more handsome swan." "Swan?" The ugly duckling could hardly speak. "Swan? Me?" "Yes, of course I mean you," said the gorgeous swan. "Who else is there? You're all alone, aren't you? Why don't you come and join us?" Suddenly, the ugly duckling understood. The penny dropped, and it all made sense. Of course, he wasn't a duckling at all. As he flew to join the other swans, he saw the reflection of a beautiful swan in the water. It was his own reflection. As the swans greeted him enthusiastically, he heard a child shout from the edge of the lake, "Look, Mom! There's a new swan! Isn't he super?"
Okay, it's a really nice story, and we are going to check the questions. So, volunteers, please. Go ahead, Camila.
Hans Christian Andersen had been through a similar experience to the ugly duckling. The ugly duckling came out of his shell much later than the others.
Okay, Ariana, go ahead.
The ugly duckling would have liked them not to jeer at him, and he learned he was a swan through a remark made by one of the swans.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So, to end with this class, we are going to share some comments about it. What do you think about this story? Your impressions about it?
That is a clear reflection of what happens sometimes in the real life, like bullying and that kind of things. So we have to think about that is really bad to do that kind of things. So that's all.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else?
I think that it is a really nice story. It shares a lesson with us, and I think that is a story that everybody knows. How for example, I read that story when I was kind of 4 years old, maybe 5, and I am still thinking that it is a really nice and beautiful story.
Okay, thank you very much. Kyle, go ahead.
Okay, I really like this story because I think all of us, at least one time in our life, we felt like the ugly duckling, at least one time. And I don't know, it's a good story to learn to learn about bullying and not bullying. I don't know.
Okay, thank you very much. Someone else.